is the 2018 FAB-Racing British Minibikes Championship, live from Clay Pigeon. The road to MotoGP. This is FAB-Racing from Clay Pigeon Raceway.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Clay Pigeon for the second round of the 2018 FAB-Racing British Minibike Championship. We've got a fantastic, busy schedule as ever this afternoon with some great racing live from Clay Pigeon. So thank you for joining us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on your social media platform of choice where you can see our great visual radio coverage as ever. And we have some fantastic racing to befold in just a few moments' time. I'm Dan Marr. Alongside me for this weekend, as ever throughout the 2018 season, is Kiko Giles. And Kiko with the Junior LC40 Elites racing now ahead of the AC40 Rookies, the AC40 Pros, the Mini GP70s and the Mini GP50s, just to get us started this afternoon with even more potentially coming our way. There's no better way to spend a Saturday afternoon, is there?
There really isn't. This is going to be a frantic race. If you just want some context to the situation we have down here at Clay Pigeon, the front row is actually very, very close to the lights. So the race organisers have decided to push them back all a row. So the front row is now starting from row 2. So if you remember the Argentine MotoGP, it's a little bit like that, just on a smaller scale. So we're going to go through the grid with you now then. This is the Junior LC40 Elite class. Now on pole position, Casey O'Gorman, Bailey Stewart-Campbell second, Emmanuel Brinton heads up Ollie Walker on row 2. Josh Bannister and James Cook occupy row 3, while Sullivan Mounsey has had a great qualifying there with 7th and Ryan Hitchcock in 8th. Evan Belford and Mason Foster complete the top 10. Jack Kirsch is 11th ahead of Johnny Garnis. Troy Jeffrey and Taylor Stewart-Campbell 13th and 14th. Joe Farragher and Harrison Crosby in 15th and 16th. Lucas Brown, Luca Hopkins, Cameron Sewell, Kyle Payne, Clayton Edmonds and Alessandro Valente. They are your starters. All 22 of them as they head out onto their warm-up lap.
Well, Bailey Stewart-Campbell leads the championship with 75 points, 3 victories in 3 races at Clandale 5 weeks ago. Now, does not feel like it was that long ago, but surprisingly it was. And Casey O'Gorman in 2nd and 8th place, and 2 second places in the first race. He had an 8th place where Emmanuel Brinton was in 2nd place, who's 3rd in the championship. Ollie Walker in 4th. Had a 3rd place in that first race of the weekend. They are about to get underway. The 815 metre long circuit here at Clay Pigeon. They circle their way through the final 2 right-handers, Buttons and Top Bend. Buttons named, of course, after Jenson Button, who started his karting career here. We'll take you through the circuit in more detail very shortly. But can Bailey Stewart-Campbell retain his championship lead? Can retain his winning streak, or will this be the day that Casey O'Gorman starts to get his foot into the championship? Well, we will see in just a few moments' time as we are about to get underway. The marshals ready and waiting, just a little bit of help being given just to make sure everyone is in the right places. But the first race of the afternoon, the second round of the 2018 FAB-Racing British Minibike Championships, the official partner series to the BSB and on the road to MotoGP, will get underway with the first of the Junior LC40 Elite races in just a few seconds. The lights are on now and we are racing and underway for the first time at Clay Pigeon for FAB. A great start by Bailey Stewart-Campbell, who surges his way into the lead on the left-hand side of the grid. They make their way through turn 2 and 3, the S's for the first time, and Bailey Stewart-Campbell, great reaction, but Casey O'Gorman goes to Ryder's right-hand side, switches back to the left, looking one way and then the other into the Hans turn, the 4th turn on this circuit, very quickly making the way from the right-handed hairpin to the left-handed hairpin, and Casey O'Gorman pushing just a little bit wide for the first time out of 9 in this race. But Bailey Stewart-Campbell having to defend very hard going through the final corner on this first lap. Casey O'Gorman, a good start but a much better one from Bailey Stewart-Campbell. The only reason he's retaining the lead so far, just managing to stay ahead of Casey O'Gorman, Emmanuel Brinton and Ollie Walker 3rd and 4th so far, but they've got their own little gaggle with James Cook, Josh Bannister and Sullivan Mounsey as they go through the chicane for the second time out of 9.
Casey O'Gorman, what an incredible ride this already is. He's already pushing on. He's not giving Bailey Stewart Campbell an inch of breathing space. He's trying to go around the outside at turn 5 now, up towards Buttons. Bailey Stewart Campbell defends, but Casey O'Gorman will get a great run down towards top bend. Does he be able to? No, doesn't make the move. He looked to the inside. Now he gets a good run down the straight. They're side by side, but nothing he can do. Emmanuel Brinton is third, ahead of Ollie Walker. But Casey O'Gorman still second. Bailey Stewart Campbell still leading.
Fantastic battle already for the lead, and a new fastest lap on that last lap, unsurprisingly, a 47.7 for Casey O'Gorman. He's got a great run coming out of the S's on the third time, looks to the right hand side, just couldn't quite find the room, having to get it stopped on a dime piece, taking such aggressive lines, trying to find every single inch of space, and goes around the outside. Almost they're going to stay side by side on the exit of turn number 5, almost up the inside, has to grab the curb just to stop it, drop back a couple of lengths just due to that. But what a statement of intent, using the wide line, the right hand side of the circuit to try and get the bike turned in. It almost paid off. The rubber wasn't quite there, but Bailey Stewart Campbell marginally quicker on that last lap, surprisingly, for Casey O'Gorman to stay in second place. Further down the order, Brinton still remains in third, but only just Ollie Walker having a very good look coming up towards turn number 4, the right-handed hairpin on lap 4 out, or on lap 3 now out of 9. Very close indeed, side by side again for Casey O'Gorman, though. There's another bit of contact between the pair of them, between Bailey and Casey, and Casey O'Gorman does not want to let this go.
That's twice in the same section of circuit. There's been contact between first and second. Casey O'Gorman's bike just looks a little bit unstable as it goes into the hard braking areas. He's looking up the inside out turn 1, can't make it work, switches to the outside for turn 2, a long right hand, and now he's got to get to the S's. He'll get a good run out of it. This is where he's so strong. He'll look to get up the inside at the hairpin. He goes to the left. Bailey Stewart Campbell defends well, and defends well enough that Casey O'Gorman cannot make his way through. Now down into turn 5. O'Gorman going for that round the outside look again. That'll be his nickname if he carries on. Now he dives to the inside and takes the lead. So O'Gorman leads, gets ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell, and maybe that was the floodgates being opened. Is this the time where Casey O'Gorman will clear off here?
Well, it's taken him 4.5 laps, and that tighter line through the left-handed hairpin at turn number 5, helping him to get the advantage. But it's not going to last for very long, because Bailey Stewart Campbell already nipping on the heels, going through the S's once again. And, well, he's been defending from this for quite a while, so he's probably picked up a few tips. Looks for a late move potentially up the inside at turn number 4, but can't quite get it to work. I imagine he's going to try and sit there quite carefully at the moment, but the rest of the order, Emmanuel Brinton still somehow retains third place on the 93 bike, ahead of Ollie Walker and James Cook, with Josh Bannister, Sullivan Mounsey, Evan Belford, Johnny Garness and Mason Foster the top 10, and Jack Kirch, who we spoke to not too long ago earlier on, just managing to get ahead of Troy Jeffrey. So already movements all the way through the field as there's just a little bit more action going on circuit at the moment. Fantastic stuff. And another fastest lap now from Casey O'Gorman, a 42.069, 2 tenths more or less quicker than Bailey Stewart Campbell in just 1 lap, so has already shut up shop. And I mentioned it at the start of the race, could this be the day where it changes? Bailey's now taking some very adventurous lines to try and find just an extra little bit of grip to try and pull him out the corners ever closer.
Casey O'Gorman's getting such good drive out of the corners, though, especially the ones where he's taken a long sweeping line in, because he stands the bike up, opens the corner up, and actually has a bit more straight to play with. He's ahead across the line. The gap extends 2.4 of a second, so it's not a done deal just yet, but you've got to feel that Bailey Stewart Campbell has to snap back sooner rather than later. We've got 3 laps to go, and Casey O'Gorman is still your race leader. Emmanuel Brinton is third. He's got Ollie Walker for company, and just behind them it's James Cook. He's a little bit distant from that battle. It may all be about Brinton and Walker for the podium, but there is no doubt in the leader in Casey O'Gorman. He's just got a few bike lengths over Bailey Stewart Campbell.
And there's a problem for Josh Bannister. The number 2 hasn't come over the start-finish line, and in fact down by the final corner, I believe he's just making his way through. Coming over the line now, and that is, well, there's no number on that bike.
It is, it's a 2, it's a yellow 2 on a white background, so it's just not easy to see. The gap at the front has closed up. Queso Gorman under a bit more pressure here. It's not done yet. We've 2 laps to go. Well, a lap and a bit to go, really. We've crossed the line already. We're at the hairpin now. O'Gorman. Will he crack under pressure? I very much doubt it. I just feel Bailey Stewart Campbell may just have something maybe left in reserve. I don't think so.
Yeah, but it has. He definitely has at times had a few moments where he's looked maybe not quite as strong as he would have liked to. And that, in a nutshell, is motor racing, when you can be so dominant in qualifying, so dominant in so many championships, but then all of a sudden it's changed slightly. But Bailey Stewart Campbell, new fastest lap, 41.848. He's halved the gap. It's even closer now, just a couple of bike lengths. Not even that. You could probably fit the entire 5'7" height of me between the pair of them as they go through turn number 4, the right-handed hairpin. They get it stopped on a dime piece, a bit square off the corner. Bailey having a bit of a wobble, but nothing to fear. Got the bike in hand, and with just 1 lap, not even that left to go, this is going to be very tight. A few corners left to go then, but in the first race of the day, Casey O'Gorman looks like he's going to take a great victory, having to fight all the way through and over the line to take the checker flag, and Casey O'Gorman wins the first race of the weekend here at Clay Pigeon, the first Cool Fab race ever at Clay Pigeon, ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell with the new fastest lap, a 41.848. That record. Emmanuel Brinton did come over the line to finish 3rd ahead of Ollie Walker and James Cook. Sullivan Mounsey and Johnny Garness round out the top 7 ahead of Evan Belford, Mason Foster and Jack Kirch, just looking coming over now ahead of Troy Jeffrey. And we're just waiting. There's a good little gaggle of bikes coming over the line now, side by side between 69 and 47. 47 just looked like it edged it by 19 thousandths of a second over the line. Joe Farragher, a great result from the lad from Northwich, so very close to where I live up in Cheshire. Takes 12th place, just ahead of Harrison Crosby and Cameron Sewell. Luca Hopkins was 15th. Clayton Edmonds 16th, 17th for Alessandro Valente, ahead of Josh Bannister, Kyle Payne, Ryan Hitchcock, Lucas Brown and Taylor Stewart Campbell. A great race there for all. What a display, first of all, from Casey Gorman and Bailey Stewart Campbell. And Bailey, well, he hung on for a very long period of time and did it almost on the final few corners, but sadly, in the first race of 3 this weekend, it wasn't to be.
Wasn't to be, but like you say, we've got 2 more to come. There is plenty of time for Casey Gorman to lose his crown and be toppled from the AC40 Pro, LC40 Junior throne.
So he still leads the championship, but the gap is reduced. We now then move on to the AC40 Rookies, and that will be another great race for them. We had some fantastic action down at Clandau. We had fantastic action at Clandau for all of the championships. That's just Cool Fab. That's what they do. It's all they do is great racing every single race meeting. But an 8-lap race is on the cards for the AC40 Rookies. Kiko Giles then to take you through the grid in just a few moments' time. But you're listening to live coverage of the second round of the 2018 Cool Fab Racing British Minibike Championships, an official partner series to the BSB, and now on the road to MotoGP.
So then it's time for the grid. Samuel Munson is on pole for this one, with Ollie Horner next to him on that grid. Ollie Horner was 4th last time at Clandau, so that's a personal best for him this weekend. Henry McCartney is 3rd, 4th is Warwick Brady. Ruben Bray is 5th, he's your series leader, and Charlie Huntingford an impressive 6th. Ollie Sims and Archie Gibbs with Greg Marshall, who we spoke to a little earlier on, and Elliot Jones complete the top 10, whilst Joshua Stoddart, William Harris complete row 6 in 11th and 12th, and Blake Wilson and Jacob Stevenson complete the grid, 14 of them out there today.
A very strong 14 entry here for the rookies. We had 17 in total over the course of the meeting at Landau, and Ruben Bray, he's in 5th place at the moment, leads the championship with 2 wins and a 3rd place from Landau. The winner of the first race of the day, or the first race of the weekend at Landau, that was Samuel Munson, who starts from pole position. But then after that great win, his weekend had a bit of a trouble with a DNF in the second race, and had a good fight through the grid to make 11th place in the third one. He's in 4th place, in fact 5th place in the championship so far with 30 points. Ruben Bray on 66. 3 second places though for Henry McCartney, who's currently in 3rd place on the grid. 60 points for him, and as the marshals just being waved off the grid to get ready for the warm-up lap to the first race of the AC40 rookies for the weekend. And well, we have had a changed grid this weekend, or today, Joe, in order we can get the fantastic filming done today. So the junior LC40s, they were always due to be the first race of the weekend, but the AC40 rookies have been moved forward, and then after, well, this is the second race of the day. We'll then have the AC40 Pros, followed by the Mini GP70s and the Mini GP50s, and then we'll have some of the fantastic action from the senior classes later on this afternoon, if we manage to get time. The wonderful marshals and the organisation, and of course the medics here, working tirelessly over the course of the morning to make sure everything running as smoothly as it can, and have worked hard to claw back some of the time we lost this morning. But as we get ready for the race start for the AC40 rookies, Samuel Munson will start on pole position ahead of Ollie Horner, Henry McCartney and Warwick Brady. And what are 2 rows, really strong, great qualifying for them. And in just a moment's time we will get racing. 8 degrees track, or 8 degrees temperature at the moment, so it's not particularly warm, but hopefully will be warm enough on the bikes. Might cool down a bit during the faster parts of the circuit, but with 8 laps in prospect for this race, we will be getting underway in just a moment. The marshal now waving the everyone else off the grid. We are ready for a start then. The first AC40 rookie race of the day. 12 getting ready, 72, and it's a poor start from Samuel Munson, who unfortunately couldn't quite react quick enough. So Ollie Horner and co have really jumped up at the moment. Henry McCartney takes a very good early lead ahead of Warwick Brady, but Samuel Munson already maybe reacted slightly slowly.
I don't think it was that. I think it was everyone else jumping the start. I must say that was like a 1980s 500cc Grand Prix start. Everyone creeping forward a little bit and a bit more, but either way, we'll wait and see what happens about that. But that was unbelievable. That's who's even needed? Is it still Henry McCartney?
Well, let's look out the window and see. It's great side-by-side action for 3rd and 4th, though, as they're filtering their way through the double right-handers for the first time out of 9 down the very long straight after top bend. These guys and girls go side-by-side, but it is the case that Warwick Brady has managed to get the best of the starts, and Henry McCartney now in 2nd place ahead of Ruben Bray and Samuel Munson. Munson from pole to 4th, so hopefully he can make a good recovery, and is looking very racy so far, going side by side with Ruben as they make their way down towards turn number 4 for the 2nd time out of 8. Ollie Horner was 5th ahead of Charlie Huntingford in 6th over the line as well. Archie Gibbs, Ollie Sims and Greg Marshall running out the top 10 very quickly, as well as Elliot Jones. But side by side, Kiko.
Ollie Horner was the rider who was slow to get away, but was comparatively slower to get away, but he's making up gaps visually. He's right on the back. Someone was pulled off.
Is that Warwick Brady who's come into the pit lane? I believe it is as well.
That's your race leader's just gone off into pit lane, so don't know what's going on there. So it leaves Henry McCartney all on his own with series leader Ruben Bray, Samuel Munson and Ollie Horner, unsurprisingly on with the fastest lap, the number 70, the light blue bike. If you're watching trackside, Ollie Horner is the light blue machine. He's right on the case of Samuel Munson and looking on the inside and going through.
Great move, very good last moment move, trying to go up the inside. Left it as late as he couldn't quite make it work on the 2nd part of turn number 4, the right-handed hairpin. So looks for other alternative lines side by side through the last 2 corners. Couldn't quite make it work on that instance, but is trying very hard and very aggressive. Good stuff so far. Henry McCartney had a lead of a second a few moments ago, but it might have opened up just slightly over the 3 bike battle for 2nd place. Therefore the gap 2.7 seconds ahead of Bray, Munson and Horner, and not quite a new fastest lap for Ollie on the previous one. But as we get slightly closer, it's side by side between Munson and Bray. Bray defending the left-hand side of the circuit very vigorously through turn number 3. The S's right and then left. You can pick up a little bit of understeer, try to tighter line. It could work for him, but Samuel Munson, who definitely needs to start picking up a few points ahead of Ruben Bray to get back into the hunt, is being hounded by Ollie Horner, who I have got to say has had a fantastic start so far, really looking very racy as he sifts his way almost around the outside, and is going to be side by side between himself and Munson as they came through top bend, the final corner here at the Clay Pigeon circuit, round the very long turn number 1 flat before they make it into the tighter double apex second corner before the S's, the chicane, the only real chicane here. And this is where Bray seems to not have the ultimate pace through the S's, but he seems to make it up through the traction zones and through the longer corners, as around the outside defending very hard now is Munson for third.
Henry McCartney leads this race. He had 3 second places at Glendale. He will want to win. He doesn't want to be second again. Not 4 times on the bounce as Ollie Horner looks on the inside. The buttons can't quite make it work through there though. So Ollie Horner really looking like he could be able to get through. This is the problem. He's being held up. Really, he's caught traffic, and he knows, I think he knows he's got better pace than the guys ahead of him, but he's trying to find a way past. It's one thing catching them, it's another thing passing them.
That's very, very true indeed, Kiko. And as they make their way once again, this is currently lap 4. We've got 4 laps left to go through the chicane once more. And I think Samuel Munson has tried every single line, but then all of a sudden, Ollie Horner has had a great run out of the chicane, going side by side with Munson. He's now moved up into third place. Finally, the door has been opened. And is he going to try to go for Ruben Bray at the same time? He's got to defend and attack. Not the position you want to be in as he sifts slightly wide through turn number 5. A little bit of understeer mid-corner, trying to get it stopped very eagerly. You can understand they're going to have a good tow from the final corner, top bend. The right-hander, Ruben Bray, now having to look over his shoulder as he's got 2 very quick guys behind him. They're having to defend their side by side over the line. Ollie Horner, great move, still got the fastest lap, not on that last lap, but tries to maybe half a move up the inside of the S's, the 2 right-handers. Or the 2 right-handers at turn number 2 through the S's once again. Ruben seems to have got his exit from the chicane mastered very well, but now Samuel Munson has a look up the inside from the S's. So if you're not attacking, you're defending. That's this battle for the race lead at the moment. But further down the field, in 5th place, it's still Archie Gibbs ahead of Charlie Huntingford and Ollie Sims. Greg Marshall and Elliot Jones are ahead of William Harris for the top 10, ahead of Joshua Stoddart, Jacob Stevenson. Blake Wilson, I don't think, took to the start of the race, sadly, and Warwick Brady did come into the pit lane after just 1 lap. So a shame for Warwick, but it's got 2 races tomorrow to make it all up. But as we come over the line, just a couple of laps left to go. 2 laps left to go. Henry McCartney, 4.3 seconds ahead of Ruben Bray now, who's got maybe just a little bit of breathing room from Ollie Horner, but not enough realistically to try and make a move, as Ollie's got a good run out of the chicane once again. He's on Ryder's right hand side. Ruben Bray tries to cover the inside as much as he can. They're almost going to have a bit of an issue then, but they're very sensible, can get it stopped very quickly through turn number 4. The right hander, the second of the chicane, or the second of the hairpins, the left-hander, side by side again for Ollie Horner, who just seems to like the very wide line as Samuel Munson takes advantage, moves back up into 3rd place with a very opportunistic move there. And this is going to be a great battle on the last lap of the race, Kiko.
Yeah, as they come on to the last lap, it's Henry McCartney who leads. He looks like he's got this one sewn up. Ruben Bray ahead of Samuel Munson, and now it is Ollie Horner who looks up the inside at turn 2. Can't make it work. He's building round the outside into the S's. He tries to flick it up the inside for the second part of that S's, but he can't make it work. Up to turn 4, they go for the battle for second, because don't forget Henry McCartney's already out front. Ollie Horner has a big look, can't make it work this time. Henry McCartney coming through buttons now. He's on his way to victory.
Just 2 corners left to go for Henry McCartney to make a move. It's almost side by side. It's almost 3 wide going into the last couple of corners for the battle for second place. Is it going to be Ollie Horner in 4th? We know it's going to be Henry McCartney, who takes a fantastic victory in the first AC40 race. It's almost side by side. There's contact between the 2 of them, between Ruben Bray, managed to come over in 2nd, but Samuel Munson and Ollie Horner, who gesticulated at each other, they do not look particularly happy at each other. They're slowed down just to have a conversation 2 corners in after the race. But they had a bit of contact from the final corner. It looked, they went side by side. Samuel Munson maybe didn't see him, or maybe Ollie pulled right, but it is Samuel Munson who took third place just from Ollie Horner. There was a touch there, a bit of a wiggle there from Ollie Horner, who probably unsettled slightly, will not be happy on that. We'll have to find out a bit more information, but all we know is 6 seconds is the gap between McCartney and Bray. That is what battling in races like this does. A great win for the number 31 ahead of Ruben Bray, and Samuel Munson, who does take the final place on the podium. Ollie Horner is fourth place ahead of Charlie Huntingford and Archie Gibbs. By the end, Gibbs only 0.0, or it's 0.139 behind Charlie Huntingford. For seventh place, it was Ollie Sims ahead of Greg Marshall, Elliot Jones and William Harris. Joshua Stoddart, Jacob Stevenson, Warwick Brady and Blake Wilson round out the rest of the order, as we will move on to the AC40 Pro race now, and that is going to be another great spectacle after the rookie race. But I suspect, Kiko, that move between Munson and Horner, we didn't get the ultimate look at it. I'm sure if you're watching trackside and you're listening to our coverage, send us a message onto the Cool Fab social media pages or to the Motorsport Radio social media pages, just to let us know what you saw to that move. But Kiko, what did you think of that?
Well, this is we call it the front straight, but it really isn't. There's so many lines. You can take a tight line on the way out, and I think all it was two riders on in the same piece of tarmac on two different lines. And unfortunately, this is what happens at this kind of level of racing. You know, you're both so desperate for that podium position, and that's, you know, they're coming into contact. They're not really looking side by side. They're looking forwards, because that's where they want to be. They want to be going ahead. Don't forget, though, of course, this is where it all starts for a lot of these guys. In heated battles like that, in really tough combat, this is where some riders really learn their craft, and all that racecraft is carried with them through all of their career. Scott Redding, Danny Kent, Luke Mossey and Bradley Ray, some of the most successful examples of riders to come out of Cool Fab, and are also very successful examples of riders who have gone on to big things in the world and national stage. As the AC40 Pro Grid now takes position, Sullivan Mounsey just having a bit of a remonstration there with another rider. I don't know who that is. May well be Sullivan, maybe James Owes Jr., because of course the confusion with the grid is that they're all starting one row back, so some riders thinking that they should be a bit higher up than others, but not. But Sullivan Mounsey secured his third place on the grid. It's all about Mason Foster and Johnny Garnis. Of course, Sullivan Mounsey said to us before this race is going to get underway, he said, I don't really want to be behind them. I really hope that they don't get away. Well, Sullivan has got to stay with them, really. But again, he's the series leader, so he knows what he's doing. Another podium. Just keep racking them up through the year, and he'll be just fine.
The AC40 Pros, as Kiko mentioned, will go through the full grid in just a moment, but they are the next race here at Clay Pigeon for the second round of the 2018 Cool Fab Racing British Minibike Championship season. Will then be followed by the Mini GP70s and the Mini GP50s to enjoy. So lots of fantastic junior racing, who undoubtedly some of them will go into the BSB or to the MotoGP as an official partner series to the BSB, and now on the road to MotoGP. As you mentioned, Kiko, the best place to start your junior and senior racing careers, and there's something for everyone here.
There really is something for everyone, and one of them things is a pole position, and that all goes to Mason Foster. He's ahead of Johnny Garnis in a rivalry that is developing at a rate of knots as this season unfolds. We saw it all through Clandau. I think we're going to see it all through here at Clay Pigeon too. Sullivan Mounsey, as we've already said, is third. Troy Jeffrey, who won last time out at Clandau, is fourth. James Owes Jr. is ahead of Luca Hopkins, 5th and 6th. Great qualifying from Luca Hopkins in 6th place there. Carl Payne, 7th. Harrison Desoy, 8th. Taylor Stewart Campbell is in 9th place, with Harrison McKay in 10th. Mikey Hardy is 11th, ahead of Clayton Edmonds, Ronnie Harris and Alfie Davidson. On row 8, Alessandro Valente and Orlando Phillips. Jamie Woodcock and Caden Watson are on row 9. Row 10 is Ben Joliffe and Ethan Sparks, and on the last row, Keaton Payne and Jada Howe.
A very strong entry, 22 of the guys and girls out there trying to get as much experience as they can moving forward with their racing careers, and it's going to be another fantastic battle for them. We have 8 laps to enjoy of the AC40 Pros. making their way now up towards the final few corners on the grid. And well, Foster versus Garness, that is going to be one to watch. Sullivan Mounsey currently leads the championship with 52 points, but Mason Foster has 45, so does Johnny Garness. So in second place in the championship, tied on points, are Mason Foster and Johnny Garness, who won a race each and both didn't finish in the third race last time out. So making up for the spoils maybe from the final race of the weekend for them. But as we get ready for a race start, everyone is getting into position, making sure their bikes are ready to go. The marshal's just moving away now from the assisting some of the riders and the bikes on the grid. The flag marshal walks back in just a second, and we'll get underway for 8 laps of the first race of the AC40 Pros for this weekend. The lights will come on in just a second. Who will it be? Will it be Foster or Garness? There's a bit of creeping from the second row, but Johnny Garness looks like, and indeed does, get a great start from the first row of the grid, making a good move around the outside, and has got a clear run through the S's for the first time. Mason Foster is definitely going to follow, but then it's a big old gaggle of bikes as they make their way for third place and downwards through to turn 4 for the first time. Troy Jeffrey maybe having to look and defend. Everyone's going side by side. What a great start to the race, Kiko.
Another retro start from all of the grid. Sullivan Mounsey was the big loser in that one. He got swamped down into turn 1 because I think he was the only one starting when the lights went out. But Sullivan Mounsey, your series leader, back to 5th place, but he'll work hard to fight back. Johnny Garness then and Mason Foster, first and second in that order. It will be interesting to see if it stays that way as they come across the line. In third place is Troy Jeffrey with, in 4th place, I think he is Sullivan Mounsey. Yes, he has got through, so Sullivan Mounsey already picking his way back through, but there's already a gap forming between 2nd and 3rd. Sullivan will have to move through past Troy Jeffrey if he is to close him down for the lead, and he's going to. He dives to the inside. Late move, not quite accomplished.
Having a look at turn number 4, a very late move, staying on the rider's left-hand side as he came over the line in order to make a position. They go through turn number 5 and 6, where there's a yellow flag with a marshal just holding a bike up at the moment. But as we wait to see what happens and who comes over the line, in the lead, it's still Johnny Garness. Not much of a gap between them, himself and Foster. The gap at the moment, about half a second. Troy Jeffrey still 3rd, but Sullivan Mounsey looking one way than the other, trying a very wide line, a very deep line around the outside, the left-hand side effectively at turn number 2. Still side by side, gets a very good run, as did on the previous lap. Looks to the left-hand side, the right's been covered this time. The outside line at turn number 4 doesn't seem to have quite as much grip, but is going to have one look, then the other. Just maybe biding his time, Sullivan is, because he knows he's got the pace. He knows he can make a move as they now make their way through the last couple of corners on lap 3 out of 8. The race progressing very quickly, and Johnny Garness has seemed to have made a stable gap at the moment in the race lead. The battle for 3rd, definitely not too stable, but even further back there's James Rose Jr., Kyle Payne, Luca Hopkins and Harrison Desoy, all looking very racy as they all go side by side through turn number 2. So no matter where you are on the circuit, in the thing, as we've got now Sullivan Mounsey again, a look up at turn number 4. Can he quite pull it off? Not quite. It just seems that Troy Jeffrey coasts him to the corner, maybe breaks it a little bit later, which just is enough to keep him ahead at this time. Stronger
into the braking area for Troy Jeffrey at the moment, but Sullivan Mounsey's absolutely hounding him, almost rounding the back of him now through turn 6. That's really, really close there, but well, we've got traffic coming up, and it'll be interesting to see how Johnny Garness deals with it. Well, that solves my problem as he goes breezing past it. Mason Foster likewise. So those two are still your leaders. Sullivan Mounsey still closing on Troy Jeffrey. So it's still all of it's getting interesting, but nothing too dramatic is changing the way of this race.
Well, Kyle Payne has dropped back from 6th to 8th. Both Luca Hopkins and Harrison Desoy have made their way past that 4-bike gaggle as they move into the yellow flag zone at turn number 4. Just to make sure their bikes moved out of the way. They make their way through, no overtaking in that section naturally, but as we now move into the next couple of corners, still looking good for Garness and Foster. The gap closed in ever so slightly, but not really enough to call home about. 3 laps left to go, and Mason Foster with the fastest lap.
All biking the track at turn 2, not sure who that is.
Yellow flags down at turn number 2 though.
So that's going to cost Mason Foster. He gets on the outside of the back marker now. But at the moment, we've got a rider down as well. We don't know who that is. We're not going to speculate. But
we'll bring you more information.
No marshals running either. So there's a rider down, a bike in the circuit. Let's hope we can move on anyway to turn 4. And, yeah, well, Johnny Garnis has been reeled in here.
He's getting a very close reeling in at the moment. The race continues, still looking very tight for 4th place and behind as well, or 5th place rather as well, because Harrison Desoy looking one way then the other. He really wants to move up a few extra positions. Over the line once more, just a handful of laps left to go, 4 laps left to go, and as the yellow flag's now pulled in from turn number 2, so the marshals making sure the rider's all right, and he's looks like they've got a smile on their face, so looked perfectly fine. Through the chicane though, the lead battle, 0.707 of a second is the gap between Garnes and Foster, which is closing only slightly, but you only need to egg away for the next couple of laps before that then becomes a serious battle for the lead. And then all of a sudden, well, you've lost a lead. Very close though for 5th place and behind going into turn number 4. Late move around the outside, but ultimately couldn't quite pull it off. They're still side by side. This is all these guys behind like to do, and it's fantastic just to actually understand and how these guys are battling so far. James Rose Jr. still at the head of that pack, ahead of Luca Hopkins, Harrison Desoy and Kyle Payne. Through top bend they go, the final corner over the line for those, the 41, which is Luca Hopkins. My Dayton point still second in that battle, but ultimately still 6th place.
The gap to the leader is closing down, I feel, as they come through. Mason Foster is giving Johnny Garnis. It's 1-1, of course, on wins, and it's 1-1 in terms of second places, because neither of them finished race 3 at Clandale. So there is a bit of a battle going on here. There's a bit of a battle going on for 3rd place. Sullivan Mounsey, been watching him the last couple of laps, carries so much speed into turn 1. He looks like he could set himself up for a move at turn 2. He looks around the outside now of Troy Jeffrey, can't quite make it work as they come to the line. Look at Sullivan Mounsey, is he going to build? Not this time, but the battle for the lead is starting to become that with 1.5 laps to go. Garnis has 7/10 over Foster.
And Luca Hopkins in 5th place has moved just ahead of James Rose Jr., only for that at turn number 2 to be undone once again. So had half a lap, which was absolutely fantastic for the battle, but couldn't quite get it stopped into turn 2. So Luca Hopkins drops back from that battle just a little bit through the final corner for not particularly long, just a corner and one of the bit laps left to go. Over the line they go now, and it's still close between Garnis and Foster, Kiko.
Traffic played a part in that there. Johnny Garnis got just held up enough to give Mason Foster some inspiration down into that final corner. They're at the S's. It's building and building here. These guys are really at it up to turn 4. There's no move coming from Mason Foster that time around. Sullivan Mounds, still trying to get through past Troy Jeffrey. So we've got a battle for 1st and 2nd, and a battle for 3rd and 4th, and a battle for 3rd and 4th involves your series leader. 2 corners to go.
Yeah, 2 corners left to go. Very close for the lead battle, but I fear it may not quite be close enough. The toe not going to be too good. Through top end for the final time, it's going to be a win for Johnny Garnes. A great victory ahead of Mason Foster, and Sullivan Mounds is going to go for it. They're going to be side by side over the line, but it just looks like Troy Jeffrey makes it for 3rd place. So a great podium there from Troy Jeffrey, Sullivan Moundsey, but then it's still side by side for this battle for 5th. Who's it going to be? Luca Hopkins tries, it doesn't quite work, and James Rose Jr. for 5th ahead of Luca Hopkins, Harrison Desoy and Kyle Payne. Taylor Stewart Campbell and Harrison McKay over the line now. 3 bikes there, so Alessandro Valente as well also making their way through. So Kyle Payne, Taylor Stewart Campbell and Harrison McKay 8th, 9th and 10th, with Alessandro Valente 11th. Ronnie Harris, good result in 12th place ahead of Orlando Phillips, Jamie Woodcock and Mikey Hardy. Ben Joliffe and Keaton Payne 16th and 17th, with Clayton Edmonds, Jada Howe, Caden Watson, Alfie Davidson and Ethan Sparks rounding out the top 22 positions. So a great race there for the AC40 Pros. Garnes versus Foster, a great battle. That is going to be one to watch throughout the 2018 season, and you can listen to that exclusively and watch it, of course, live on the motorsport.radio and on the Cool Fab Racing social media streams, the websites. Please do share it with your friends and family. Let them know who you're supporting. Let us know who you're following, who you want to be successful over the course of the weekend, and who you want us to give a shout out to. We'll be reading out some of your comments very shortly indeed. But the AC40 Pros, a great race, and now It's time for the Mini GP70s, which is going to be, we keep saying it, but another fantastic race indeed. In just a few moments' time, Casey O'Gorman taking 3 wins last time out. Will that be the same? It's certainly shaping up to be, but how is it going to shape up? I don't know. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Kiko, what are your expectations for the first Mini GP70 race of the weekend?
Well, it's been all about Casey O'Gorman, Evan Belford and Bailey Stewart-Campbell in the lead up to this race, with Sean Abel being able to get the podium at the last round and the last race, of course, race 3. But in 4th place is Callum Beach. Now, that's not a surprise, but it's a different name, and I think we need that variety. Don't forget Finn Smart as well, who heads row 4, who's 7th. He could always be an improvement, because he is improving all the time. Saffron Watley was a surprise in 8th. Rossi Banham, a consistent top 10 scorer as well. But we'll take you through the grid in just a moment, as all the parents and all the assistants come onto the grid to prepare these youngsters for another ride out.
This is the 2018 FAB-Racing British Minibikes Championship, live from Clay Pigeon. The road to MotoGP and the official partner series to the BSB. FAB-Racing.
We're getting ready then for the first Mini GP70 race of the weekend. Now go on to the formation lap, just 1 lap to get ready for a fantastic 12-lap encounter. Kiko Giles will take you through the grid right now.
Casey O'Gorman then starts on pole. Could be his full name, we say it so many times. Evan Belford alongside him on row 1. Bailey Stewart-Campbell and Callum Beach occupy the 2nd row, with Sean Abel in 5th and Owen Mellor 6th. Finn Smart an impressive 7th, and Saffron Watley an even more impressive 8th, while Rossi Banham and Corey Stainer complete the top 10. Holly Harris and Jaden Toomer ahead of Elliot Crosby and Taylor Lawrence, who was hilarious in the comms booth earlier. Jack Kirsch and Carter Brown, with Chris Johnson completing the grid. So that is your order. That is the way they will start this race. Will we see another Bailey Stewart-Campbell, Casey O'Gorman, Evan Belford battle at the front? Will they be joined by Sean Abel? Will we see the likes of Finn Smart come off row 4? Callum Beach, 4th place. He'll be looking to see if he can make it work from there. Just a small problem with Casey O'Gorman, doing what I'm sure many people will do throughout this weekend, launching it forward to the original front row here as we get ready for the start.
We are about to get underway then for the first Mini GP70 race of the weekend. As mentioned by Kiko, Casey O'Gorman pulling just slightly too far forwards, and it's a very easy mistake to make, and I think race control had to make the change after how close the lights are to the circuit. But the flag marshals, everyone being moved from the grid row. About to get underway. Casey O'Gorman leads the championship. Will he lead this race from the start? We are about to get underway. We will find out now. Revs are up, and a good clean start by everyone, and Casey O'Gorman does get the bit between his teeth. It was side by side between himself and I believe that was Evan Belford as they left the line for the first time. Just squeezed him out slightly, just enough to ensure he was in the lead of the race come the first couple of corners. Everyone makes their way through turn 4 for the first time out of 14, and Casey O'Gorman makes a break, but it's all battles for 2nd place and further down.
I think it was Owen Mellor got an absolute flyer from 6th on the grid. He was 3rd by turn 1. That was an unbelievable start. They went 3 abreast through turn 1. Casey O'Gorman now leads Evan Belford, then it's Bailey Stewart-Campbell, and I think it's Owen Mellor. Looks, yes it is. Then it's Sean Abel, then Callum Beach, then Rossi Banham, I think, has got a flying start as well. So lots of change. Taylor Lawrence didn't get off the start too well. He's at the back of the grid with work to do, but he'll pick pick it up from there.
And it was very close between Corey Stainer and Finn Smart for 8th and 9th over the line. They swing their way out of the S's for the second time out of 14, and a great move by Finn Smart to go all the way around the outside on Ryder's left-hand side at turn number 4, which does take some doing on a bike of this comparable size around this circuit. Casey O'Gorman has managed to make a breakaway, but not quite the gap that sometimes you can expect from him. Evan Belford maintaining second place ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell, but Bailey really winding him in just slightly. And as they make their way over the line then, Callum Beach had a good couple of laps. It's looking very close, especially slightly further down at the moment, whilst Finn Smart has made a good gap. It's Corey Stainer, Holly Harris and Saffron Watley having a very interesting tight battle so far, making their way through the S's for the third time out of 14. And ultimately they couldn't quite make it all the way round side by side. Did give it a very, very good go though, and that's the kind of racing that the Mini GP70s will provide. Quick and very close racing, as we're seeing so far with Evan Belford and Bailey Stewart Campbell, just 0.185 between second and third.
Casey O'Gorman, fastest lap, 39.3. He's just taken that honour off Callum Beach, who's in 6th and looking good, although he's got loose fairing on the front of his bike. It looks like there's something wobbling around there. Rossi Banham as well, in 7th place. His lap times, as we look now, they're more or less about a second away from what Callum Beach is able to do. But don't forget, them three, Owen Mellor, Sean Abel and Callum Beach, are all holding each other up. Rossi Banham's got clear air, so that might be a battle that Rossi can get into here as Casey O'Gorman crosses the line. Does he improve his lap time? Not this time, only about 2/10 outside of it. Evan Belford, Bailey Stewart Campbell second and third. Owen Mellor and Sean Abel complete the top 5.
Side by side again though for the battle between Corey Stainer and Harley Harris. Very, very good stuff indeed, making their way through turn number 2. 3 bikes then as the 9th place battle continues to go on. And for those who can't see what we're seeing right now, they're using such different lines through the S's, through turn number 2. It's about trying to find the right line that works for you and your style.
Owen Mellor's made a mistake. He's dropped right off the back of the group for the podium battle, so he's in the clutches now of Sean Abel and Callum Beach as they come down the straight. Owen Mellor has got Sean Abel for company. Callum Beach taking a wide sweeping line in to try and open the corner up. Now looks on the inside at turn 2. A tight right-hander. Can't get it done there.
And it's a very difficult corner, turn number 2, to actually try and attack as well as defend at the same time. Sean Abel having a good exit off the S's, makes a very, very late move up the inside for turn number 4. Uses the right-hand side, sails him a dummy on the left. He opens the door, thinks, thank you very much, I will take that up into 4th place for Sean Abel. And Owen Mellor probably not very happy with that, but someone else is going to be very interested. Is Callum Beach, the 127 now, looking slightly wider. Side by side they go over the start-finish line. The rider's left-hand side is for the 127 of Callum Beach, who takes the position before they get to the corner. So Owen Mellor may be conceding the position. He couldn't quite hold on to it for that point, but it's very, very difficult stuff to go side by side through turn number 1. Probably a very, very long, quick left-hander immediately darting to the right.
Casey O'Gorman's just making his way through the traffic, negotiated that very well. Bailey Stewart Campbell having a look on the inside of Evan Belford, trying to make a move through, can't quite do it there. Casey O'Gorman though is off and running as the 2, Evan Belford and Bailey Stewart Campbell, dive through the traffic. That's 37, they've just got past Carter Brown from Bridgewater. Now, with just 7 to go, you've got to start wondering, is this pace what Casey O'Gorman is setting, is it sustainable? Because he's got traffic, and one mistake, we've seen it before, we saw it with Emmanuel Brinton, of course, back in Glendale. Getting caught up in traffic can mean a disaster. Casey O'Gorman's up the inside and splits the 2 back markers, so to speak. He's just splitting the traffic up slightly there. And just sits up one of the others. So who was that? I think he got ahead of
the
Chris
42.
Johnson. Yes, Chris Johnson he set up there. So Casey O'Gorman, and you'll notice now, apart from now the fact that 2 and 3 have caught the the traffic that they've reeled him in. Casey O'Gorman has not got the biggest lead in the world now.
And it's very difficult for Evan Belford, who got caught up just at the wrong point with that ensuing battle, because they're still battling within this race. And it was very difficult. They just got to them at the S's, also known as probably the worst place you could catch them. And Bailey Stewart Campbell can now smell the position. He can no longer see it. He can physically imagine himself in it through the final two corners, turn button and top bend, the two right-handers. They're almost on top of each other in the toe, weaving left, weaving right, moving the bikes about as much as they can to get every single ounce of performance from them. And Bailey Stewart Campbell is using deeper lines, wider lines, trying to really flex the tyres and make the bike turn where he wants to, because he must feel he's got the power and the actual ability to take the position. He's just using every single inch of track in order to do it, trying to look maybe around the outside at turn number 5, using the right hand line at the left hander, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. A very interesting move though between Sean Abel, and that was Callum Beach, who managed to make the position on the last lap, used that Chris Johnson bike, either of them went either side, and Sean just about got it stopped before going into the side of the 127. They're very close now, coattails for each other through turn number 2, but Casey O'Gorman very quick, 2.5 the gap now.
Chris Johnson's bike was a berm that time. He had to really be pushed aside. Rossi Banham all over Owen Mellor. That's for 6th place as they now head up towards turn 4. Rossi Banham having a look on the inside, not this time, as they go down into turn 5, and it's still Sean Abel ahead of Callum Beach as they head up through Buttons. Casey O'Gorman has made his way through the traffic. The big battle for this in this race is second. It's Evan Belford ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell, but for how much longer with 3 laps to go?
You can't really tell, can you, because they make their way through the S's once again, moving right, moving left. They've got a few other people ahead of them. They're going to go side by side. Almost makes a move, but can't quite think about it. Sean Abel now in 4th place, having to defend big style from Callum Beach, and that is a fantastic battle as well. A little bit of contact just to let him know he's there. I don't think he intended for that to happen, maybe.
No, it was contact between the back marker. Bailey Stewart Campbell sweeping across the back marker. Not sure who it was, but yep, that's really affected that now, because you just get the feeling that that's shown the fact that Bailey Stewart Campbell has something in hand. If he's that eager to get through the traffic, you've got to think he's got something up his sleeve. He's right on the back of Evan Belford. They're side by side up to turn 4. Stewart Campbell tries to go the long way, thinks better of it.
The outside line, I think, is mostly being proven at turn 4 to not work unless you've got so much more corner speed in to really use it on the way out. But with just a lap and a bit left to go through the final corner for the penultimate time for Casey O'Gorman, who is more or less going to win this race, touch wood, but it's side by side. They're going to go side by side. Bailey Stewart Campbell almost made it through, but had to back out of that one on the start-finish line. So with 1 lap left to go, Evan Belford has got to defend for his life. This is going to be as difficult as anything he's probably ever done in his racing career so far. Side by side through turn 4. Can Bailey Stewart Campbell roll off on the brakes? Not quite. This is not going to be the moment for him to do it, but now further down, and Callum Beach has made the position on Sean Abel. What a great move, a great run on the exit on the right-hand side for the final corner for Callum Beach, who just looks like he can start the bike. A big bump of Sean Abel. It goes down. He goes down. It's a win for Casey O'Gorman. A yellow flag at turn number 5, but Evan Belford did manage to get ahead of Sean Abel, and Sean Abel must have been going very attacking on the left-hand side going through, and nonetheless back up, back rolling, so perfectly fine and back underway. A shame for him, but Casey O'Gorman took a fantastic victory of 2.655 seconds ahead of Evan Belford and Bailey Stewart Campbell. That's a great defensive attacking performance from the pair of them. Callum Beach did come home in 4th ahead of Owen Mellor and Rossi Banham. In fact, there's a whole gaggle of them just streaming their way over the line right now, and Rossi Banham in 6th place ahead of Finn Smart, Saffron Watley and Holly Harris. Corey Stainer was 10th ahead of Sean Abel and Elliot Crosby, with Taylor Lawrence and Chris Johnson 13th and 14th, 15th for Carter Brown, Jack Kirch and Jaden Toomer, rounding out the 17 runners in this race. And well, Mini GP 50s are coming out next. That's going to be another fantastic thing to watch, and you're listening to our live coverage of the second round of the 2018 FAB-Racing British Minibike Championship. And if this is the kind of racing they can provide here, then by all means this is going to be a fantastic thing as they move on their way to MotoGP, on the road to MotoGP, and as an official partner series to the BSB. But we have another great guest, and Greg, who you may have heard on our coverage earlier before, has come back to have a word after his first race of the weekend. So, Greg Marshall from the AC40 Rookies, how was it out there?
It was quite a good battle with me and Ollie Sims, and I kept trying to get him on the braking, but then he pulled away from me out of the corners, and I was struggling to get past him, and then I think I finished 9th.
Well, it was a very good result for the first race, and are you going to be doing the same in the next two?
Hopefully, yeah.
So how did you have any other good battles with everyone out there?
Yeah.
So who else were you? Do you know who else you were racing with in that one?
Well, before I came to this round, I was drawing in the championship with Archie Gibbs, so I thought I was gonna be battling with him, but he pulled away from Ollie, so I couldn't get past Ollie to have another battle with him.
But tomorrow is a very different day. Are you feeling confident?
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to your two races?
Yeah.
It's going to be fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, well done for your position in that race to Greg Marshall, and hopefully you come back very soon. We'll hear from you later on. And we will be going to the Mini GP 50 grid in just a moment's time.
The road to MotoGP. This is FAB-Racing. The road to MotoGP. This is FAB-Racing.
The Mini GP 50s are the next race we have out here at Clay Pigeon for the second round of the 2018 campaign, and we had a great qualifying from Casey O'Gorman earlier on. He will start on pole position ahead of Mason Johnson, but Kiko Giles is the one with the grid. He's the one with the knowledge.
Set me up like that. Casey O'Gorman and Mason Johnson then on the front row. Josh Bannister, bit of confusion over his grid place. I think he went to 4th and not 3rd, but he is 3rd. Eddie O'Shea is in 4th, and in very impressive 4th place at that. Thomas Gomez is 5th ahead of Emmanuel Brinton. Ollie Walker heads up row 4 with James Cook, as Thomas Gomez has an issue with the orange 98 machine. Lucas Brown is in 9th, with 10th place going to Dylan Mellor, 11th for James Rose Jr., 12th for Lewis Jones, 13th Harrison Crosby, 14th Alfie Davidson, Ryan Hitchcock, Tyler Watson and Cameron Sewell complete the grid.
So a very strong grid there for the Mini GP 50s. 17 out on the circuit for this first race of the weekend for them. And the Mini GP 50s, well, Casey O'Gorman, last time out at Clandale, 3 wins. We've said this a few times today, haven't we? 3 wins at Clandale and a new track record in the second race. Well, all of the fastest laps we're getting today are going to be track records, because FAB have never raced at Clay Pigeon before. But your closing thoughts before the race gets underway, Kiko?
Well, it's all about Casey O'Gorman, but Mason Johnson putting some great lap times in qualifying over a long period. So consistency is key, as we kept saying earlier in regards to Sullivan Mountain. You know, if you keep bringing it home, you're going to get points. If you keep bringing it home every now and then, you're going to get points, but just not as many. So Mason Johnson, for me, I'm going to have a little outside bet on that. And yeah, Casey O'Gorman ain't going to have it all his own way, I don't believe.
So we are about to get underway for the Mini GP 50s. Just a few last second words being had from all of the supporters on the grid. The flag marshal will walk away in just a second. As Kiko said, Casey O'Gorman, is he going to have it his own way? Let's hope not. There's a bit of, again, another...
Thomas Gomez again, just struggling with that 98. I hope he gets it off the line safely now as they get ready to go.
We're about to get underway, the 98 being revved, everyone revving very quickly. The lights are on now. It's a bit of a roll from the 98 but Casey O'Gorman, good start, gets away cleanly. Everyone manages to get away cleanly in this race, which is exactly what we want to see. Casey O'Gorman doing what he normally does and just starting off well and trying to storm his way through the rest of the grid. But Thomas Gomez, up into third place. Good start, and as they make their way through turn number 4 for the first time, the right-handed hairpin, getting it stopped on slightly colder brakes and tyres is never a particularly good thing. But Thomas Gomez going for a deep move on Mason Johnson in third place, trying to go for second already. And with 12 laps left to go, there is plenty of time to make a move like that, isn't there?
You can't win the race in the first lap, but you can certainly lose it. Casey O'Gorman leads across the line. Mason Johnson in second place with Thomas Gomez in third. Emmanuel Brinton fourth. Josh Bannister slipped to fifth from his third place start, and Eddie O'Shea down to sixth from fourth. But that is all pretty much academic this early on in the race. Thomas Gomez looking on the... getting a run through. Is he going to dive for the inside? He has a big look, can't quite make it work. He'll look again if he can get a good run down into turn 5, which is a tight left-hander. Building through there, it really is a battle for second between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bikes battling out for second place. We've got 12-wheeler out front, Casey O'Gorman off and running. And out wide, out wide it looked like Eddie O'Shea, just to cut across you there, Dan. Eddie O'Shea's made a mistake, and that looks like it may have cost him at least, yes, he's behind Dylan Mellor now, so that's 7th place for Eddie O'Shea.
Well, Eddie O'Shea, a little bit of a struggle there. Also, Mason Johnson getting the bike rotated very nicely. On the last lap, Thomas Gomez had a fantastic amount of traction from the first couple of corners, especially on the exit of the S's. On this one, not quite so. Mason Johnson seemingly reacted to that slightly cleaner. So as they make their way through the next couple of corners, which are turns 6 and 7, the two right-handers which bookend the lap here. Casey O'Gorman had 1.4 seconds to the good, extends it slightly. Mason Johnson now has just a little bit extra breathing room in second place ahead of Thomas Gomez and Emmanuel Brinton, who is starting to edge closer to Thomas. Further down the order at the moment, it is still Josh Bannister in 5th ahead of Dylan Mellor, Eddie O'Shea, Ollie Walker moving up ahead of James Rose Jr. and Lucas Brown, the top 10 at the moment. But a bit further down the field, it is looking very racy from pretty much everyone on circuit here at Clay Pigeon.
Eddie O'Shea looking a bit desperate to make his way past Dylan Mellor, I've got to say. Is he looking at... Yes, he did look on the inside at turn 5, a left-hander. He'll get a run through there into Buttons, which is turn 6, all the way down now to Top Bend. Nothing there, so it's all fairly static. Eddie O'Shea looking to make up ground from his earlier mistake, and Ollie Walker now in the battle. In fact, Ollie Walker's right with Eddie O'Shea through turn 1. Can't set anything up for turn 2 this time. You want to know how your leader's getting on? Casey O'Gorman is still leading this race by 1.5 seconds ahead of Mason Johnson on the bright green machine, and then it's Thomas Gomez in third on the orange bike, number 98.
And Casey O'Gorman hasn't really pulled away in the way you might expect him to. He's been 1.5 seconds for a good couple of laps now. 8 laps left to go, almost 7 laps left to go, so we are getting a little closer to half distance. But Casey O'Gorman, maybe he's keeping the pace in reserve. Someone who is not is Thomas Gomez, who is looking left, he's looking right. He went to the right hand side through turn number 1. Turn 2 he is going for a late move up the inside at turn 2. Mason Johnson goes a little bit deeper, loses another position through the S's, loses almost a 3rd position, and that was very opportunistic from Emmanuel Brinton. Just saw a move there. Mason Johnson went a bit deep, having to defend, and unfortunately loses 1 position to Thomas Gomez, and Emmanuel Brinton really had to go for the move, went for the move, has made the move, almost fighting for second place immediately, so unlocking that pace a little further down the field as well. Dylan Mellor doing well. Josh Bannister with the fastest lap on that last one, surprisingly, a 41.429. Everyone's doing 41.4s or 41.6s, so very close indeed. But Mason Johnson from second, now in 4th place, and has got Josh Bannister, that's number 2, very close behind. So it's getting closer, and another bike's being wheeled in. They're all just congregating for second place.
It looks like, and it doesn't show on time, but I think now we've got a clean lap. I think Thomas Gomez is closing down Casey O'Gorman. I don't know if Casey's made a mistake, but Thomas Gomez, now he's got ahead of the battle for second, and now he leads it. I think he's closing in.
Casey O'Gorman was 4/10 slower than Thomas Gomez, including making a move on the previous lap. They're going to go side by side for 3rd place between, or 4th place between That was Emmanuel Brinton as well as Mason Johnson. Johnson having the right-hand side. Couldn't quite manage to get it to work, though, unfortunately. Very, very good at a signal. And Josh Bannister can tell that there's a move to be made, really hustling the bike in order to make a position.
Thomas Gomez is now got the gap to under a second, and traffic is still going to be playing a part here. Oh, Thomas Gomez was wide there, using all the tracking a bit more, so he's pushing on. Thomas Gomez has got a great marker in Casey O'Gorman. He is building and building, trying to get up to the back there of the number 7. Is this going to be a surprise win for Thomas Gomez here? Will he be able to close down Casey O'Gorman? We take them across the line now. The gap is back up to 1.6, so maybe O'Gorman has responded there, or Thomas Gomez has made a mistake. Either way, if they don't catch O'Gorman, it's the thrilling battle for second. 1, 2, 3, 4 bikes now, with Josh Bannister just getting ahead of Eddie O'Shea.
Well, Casey O'Gorman did the new fastest lap on that last one as a 41.160. 3.5 laps left to go. And Casey O'Gorman, yes, he did extend his gap on that last one, but he doesn't seem to have done much more about it on this lap. So maybe he's feeling a little tired, because bearing in mind he's just been in another race, using just a few of the other people in the race to try and increase his gap and his pace just a little bit. It's not really helped him in that regard. Thomas now 1.3 seconds behind Casey. Emmanuel Brinton and Mason Johnson still there in third and fourth, not really moving, but Josh Bannister, as they're all clustering together now, it's getting very difficult through the S's. Casey O'Gorman has managed to get past a few other riders in the race, coming up to turn number 4, and this is really where the crunch point's going to be, because Thomas Gomez still in second place, closing up a little bit. Emmanuel Brinton trying to follow him around the outside. In fact, Mason Johnson's having to defend from Josh Bannister as well as try and make a move. But oh, is that going? In fact, I'm slightly getting my rider colours a little confused there, which is quite easily done when they've got a very similar shade of green.
I think he was being lapped. So
with 2 laps left to go now, it's 1.5 seconds the gap on the last one. Thomas Gomez really trying to respond, but Emmanuel Brinton has forced his way into third, is really on the coattails, and you've got to think it's going to have a move at some point or another, because he's just getting very, very close indeed. Just 1 bike length through turn number 4 now. And in fact, that was, sorry Kika, that was very wide from Thomas Gomez.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to get a bit of a struggle there.
Second lap, he's done that now, so maybe he's just pushing on a bit too much. Advice would be settle for second. I don't think they're going to get O'Gorman unless he makes a mistake or gets caught in traffic. Emmanuel Brinton is definitely going to have a go. He is not afraid of lunging here. Let's see what he does. Through turn 1, he's setting himself up to launch it through at turn 2. Can't get it done. O'Gorman again, he seems like he's lost a load of time. The gap is down to 1.1. He's got traffic at the wrong part of this track. Gomez is closing. We're in for a last lap, last few corners here. Who is it going to be? O'Gorman's really caught the traffic at a wrong point. He's held up. Gomez is right there.
He's going to go side by side. He catches him at just the wrong point. Has to move to the right-hand side. They're almost on top of each other now. Thomas Gomez makes a very late move up the inside, but can't quite make the move. So Casey O'Gorman's got a clear view, but is Emmanuel Brinton going to make the best of this? Could Mason Johnson come quite in? Doesn't look like it. Mason Johnson's bike lost a load of pace out of the final corner. So Casey O'Gorman takes the win ahead of Thomas Gomez and Emmanuel Brinton, with Josh Bannister fourth. Mason Johnson dropped back. The bike just did not pull out of the final corner. Over the line come a few more people, so it's 5th for Mason Johnson, sadly, who dropped back at the end there, ahead of Eddie O'Shea in 6th. Dylan Mellor ended up in 7th, ahead of Ollie Walker, James Rose Jr. and Lucas Brown for the top 10. Lewis Jones up into 11th. Just over the line now for Harrison Crosby, the number 69 in 12th. Ryan Hitchcock will be 13th, or is 13th, ahead of Cameron Sewell in 14th. Tyler Watson, James Cook and Alfie Davidson round out the field. But that was very, very close for O'Gorman, who at one point almost looked like he was going to go onto the grass, running so deep, pushing on the tyres. The grip just wasn't there for him. Thomas Gomes almost made a move at the inside. This is the great thing about the cool FAB-Racing, is it changes so very much in different circumstances. And for a few laps I thought Thomas Gomes' tyres had slightly overheated. He just seemed to be having issues with understeer, but then all of a sudden he was back in with it. Casey O'Gorman seemed to fall away a little bit. That's really the beauty of racing at Cool Fab, though.
The only thing predictable about Cool Fab is that it is completely unpredictable. That was a 1.7 second lead at one point for Casey O'Gorman, finished up at a quarter of a second. So Thomas Gomez Well, he may have had all them problems on the grid before this race got underway, but he had no such problems in the race. A great start and a great end. He finishes second, Emmanuel Brinton third. Josh Bannister takes the fastest lap of the race. The top 6 riders all lapping in the 41-second bracket. That is how competitive the Mini GP 50s really are.
So the Mini GP 50s enjoying a fantastic battle as ever here at Coolfab, and so far the racing for the Clay Pigeon circuit here at Coolfab, the first time that the championship has ever been to the circuit, and it has certainly lived up to expectations and then some. We are now onto the senior races, and the first race of the weekend for the seniors will be the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Teams, a classic staple of the Coolfab Racing Championships, and one that pretty much everyone of all ages seems to enjoy. So everyone's starting to get gridded up for the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team race. The first race of the weekend will be 12 laps in prospect for these guys and girls, and Ryan Tyres starts on pole position ahead of Ben Bailey. A really good showing from the Pit Bike 140s, which seem to suit the circuit just a little bit more than the Moto Teams, Kiko.
They seem to, for me, just have that little bit more bottom end that they can use around here. Ryan Tyres is on pole, Ben Bailey is second, Simon Gates third, Jamie King, last year's champion, is fourth, Richard Holmes-Williams is in fifth place with Ben Pascoe in sixth, John Ansell seventh, Ian Jackson eighth, Sam Clowes, Simon Clowes on row 5, Ryan Gaines, Darren Anderson, Will Howarth 13th, he's been showing strong through all the practices though, and in 14th, Brandon the Yellow Peril, as it says on his leathers. Fraser Kinnaird ahead of Sean Whittaker, then it's Blake Ansell, Jason Pugh, John Pettit, Ben O'Keefe, Mark Pollitt, Alistair Kinnaird, Gary O'Keefe, Vince Bailey, Harrison O'Keefe and Neil Kinnaird. I feel like we've just got family fortunes going on in this race. It's mental. There's so many people with different and same surnames. I can't keep up. Where's Les Dennis when you need him?
Well, we will enjoy the family battles throughout the field. It's a fantastic entry of 26 bikes on circuit, and it stretches far beyond our timing screen, which is great to see how strong the entry is at this meeting, but a bit difficult for us when we're trying to call it because we can't see quite where every single person is. So we will try and follow it as best we can. We are about to get underway for the first Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team race of the weekend, 28 versus 55, 128 even, and in fact Ben Bailey gets a great start from second place ahead of Ryan Tyres as they make their way through turn 1 and 2 for the first time out of 12. The Pit Bike 140 is duly providing some fantastic action, a few people going a little deeper than they would have imagined into the S's for the first time, which can be a bit heart in mouth when you're trying to go side by side with two different people.
No Harvey Claridge to clear off from this time, so we should have quite a tight battle for the lead. Ben Bailey leads Ryan Tyres. In third place is Simon Gates now, because Jamie King was there originally and then he got pushed back as they all flick through. We'll take you with them across the line. It's side by side for the lead, and that is Ben Bailey who holds on to it. Ryan Tyres with the fastest lap, Simon Gates, Richard Holmes-Williams, then it's Jamie King, Ben Pascoe, Ian Jackson. Sam Clowes has made his way up to 8th, John Ansell and Simon Clowes down to 10th.
And side by side for Tyres and Bailey. Tyres up the inside, couldn't quite get it stopped unfortunately, so it goes quite deep, uses a lot of the exits and the curbing on the rider's left hand side at turn number 4, using every inch of road. These Pit Bike 140s, you can really bully them around and they just seem to follow whatever you want them to do, making their way up towards through the final corner, side by side. Tyres again versus Bailey. Bailey managing to hold on, just knows the lines, he just knows where to put the bike in these opening laps of the race. But Bailey versus Tyres, I mean, There's probably some kind of joke to put in there somewhere, but so far it's been nothing but fantastic racing. Once again, tries to look at the left-hand side. Moving these bikes around they don't really seem to struggle, and with the amount of torque that these bikes have got, they can just really do anything with them.
Massive look up the inside at turn 5 for Ryan Tyres, tries to do it again, sets himself up for turn 6. Now he'll blast down. Will he try and get the inside at top bend? No, he won't. So as they come through, Ben Bailey with the pink crash helmet still leads. Is it pink? Is it red? It doesn't really matter. It's about the same. As they come through turn 1, Ryan Tyres, Ben Bailey and Ryan Tyres, those two have really pulled clear now. Jamie King in 5th place. He's got a battle on his hands with Ben Pascoe and Ian Jackson. The top Moto team bike is Simon Clowes ahead of Darren Anderson. So those two have always been on the podium in every race so far this year.
And side by side once again for the lead, Bailey and Tyres. Bailey looking around one way then the other. He's really defending fantastically, but the bike running quite deep through turn number 5, the left-hander getting a little bit of understeer, although that can quite easily be deliberate. Ryan Tyres does use every single line he can possibly can. Side by side once again over the line, the 28 or the 128, reading it how you will. Through turn number 2, seems to be able to maintaining the gap, and 10 laps left to go. It's only been a few laps and already we are enjoying some very mixed racing in this first race of the weekend. There's a great battle that seems to be going on at the moment for, that is 5th place with Jamie King, who is, as you say, last year's champion, knows how to ride one of these bikes. A new circuit for him, as indeed pretty much everyone else. So it's a very challenging prospect for him, but Jamie always seems to go well.
Ben Bailey is really using the corners to his advantage. He seems to be getting off them very, very well, and that's blocking any move that Ryan Tyres wants to make, although Ryan Tyres is basically riding pillion with him. He has a look up the inside, can't make it work that time at turn 2. They're going to come through traffic in a minute. I think that's Gary O'Keefe with the fluorescent green, fluorescent yellow helmet. The pink helmet of Ben Bailey though is still leading, and it's Ryan Tyres who's in 2nd place chasing him. Simon Gates and Richard Holmes-Williams are a distant 3rd and 4th. They're not really together on track either, so it really is all about these front two. As Ryan Tyres takes an inside line, a tight inside line, can't make it work. Ben Bailey swaps, they dive under each other down into top bend, and it is really, really close racing. Will Ben Bailey be able to hold on much longer? I just cannot see how he's going to resist this attack.
Well, 8 laps left to go, plenty of time for everything to change in this race, and he manages to stop it like a top. But Ryan Tyres using a point of momentum and a fantastic move through the 2nd corner on the right hand side, just got it stopped absolutely perfectly. Got a thumbs up down the back straight towards the 4th corner, but could get the traction, managed to get it stopped, managed to get it turned. Absolutely perfect move for Ryan Tyres to move into the lead of the race. Ben Bailey really giving it some attack though, and there's plenty of chances as they work their way through a couple of other riders within the race. And Ryan Tyres, great exit from the final corner, just did enough to make the lead.
Ben Bailey remonstrating there with number 5, that's Alistair Kinnaird. They tripped up over each other down at the final corner as they're coming up to, I think that's Ben O'Keefe now, who's just getting away. Ben Bailey, who's just right on his line. Doesn't really matter though, because Ryan Tyres is starting to put a gap in between himself and Bailey now. The gap, it was half a second across the line, it's probably about 7/10 of a second as they come through at turn 5. That's the horseshoe through Buttons at 6. There's traffic, and there's a little bit more to come, I think, with 7 to go.
And there's a yellow flag down at the final corner. The rider's up and just getting the bike restarted, so that will take that corner out of action as an overtaking opportunity for a lap or 2. But Ryan Tyres, who's got the fastest lap of a 40.376, almost 2 tenths quicker than Ben Bailey, who's not exactly slow. The rest of the race still to go. 6 laps left to go, so about halfway through the race so far, but it's Tyres versus Bailey, Gates, Holmes-Williams, Jamie King, Ben Pascoe, John Ansell, Sam Clowes, Darren Anderson, and then Simon Clowes. So 2 Clowes in the top 10, and they're both going to be enjoying their race.
They really will be. They're both on the pace in Glandau as well, so I think they're there for the whole season. As ruthlessly on the inside of one of the traffic there was Ben Bailey, just takes no prisoners. He knows he can win this race as long as he sticks with Ryan Tyres. The gap, he's 4 tenths quicker last time around. That's the difference it can make. If you get involved in traffic, lap times can vary, and it just goes to show. Ben Bailey at the start of the last lap looked out of it, and now he's right back in it. As they go through turn 4 at the hairpin, it's starting to concertina together again.
very, very close indeed as they make their way through the midpoint of the circuit, through the right-handed hairpin, through the left-handed hairpin. There's no real way that they can try and get that much closer to each other, but Ben Bailey is giving it absolutely everything he gets, and he's really closing in now. The gap 0.8 over the last lap, significantly less than this one. In fact, it's only 0.5, 40.2 or 0.24, which is a good 0.3 quicker than Ryan Tyres on that last lap. So already it was close. They were fighting each other at the start of the race. They're going to be fighting each other at the end of the race. It's still looking fantastically close at the head of the field, but they are going to be closing into a few different battles for Moto team riders as well.
Ben Bailey may have just wanted to take a step back. Where is Ryan Tyres really good? What can he learn, if anything? Oh, Ryan Tyres gets held up on his line there. Traffic just on his line now. They're both going to go one different side of the traffic. Eyes on springs for the back marker as they come across the line. Ryan Tyres and Ben Bailey side by side. Bailey launches it through on the inside and gets it done. That's at turn 2, so the pink helmet is back in the lead. Through the S's they come. Bailey holds on. Ryan Tyres doesn't want him to. Now they're side by side up to turn 4. No move this time. Late lunge maybe from Ryan Tyres. Can't make it work. Ben Bailey leads with 3 and a bit laps to go. 2 and a bit laps to go now. But traffic is still a problem. Oh dear, oh dear. That is a really... Oh, they're cutting it tighter side by side. Ben Bailey still holds on as they went through bars. It was 3 abreast, and I thought Ben Bailey may have well lost that battle then. He didn't. He held on. And the next one is Fraser Cadet, and he's no mug either. So the harder they go through the field, the more difficult it's going to be to pass the traffic.
Ben Bailey, a absolutely brilliant move to make what is effectively his Mika Hakkinen moment from Spa a long time ago. They're very, very close up towards turn number 4 between Bailey and Tyres, almost on top of each other. Once again, they just seem to be interlinked wherever they go, and they're really using the different riders in this race as a different tactical advantage. Side by side through the right-hander, 2 right-handers left to go, and with just a lap and just a little bit more to go, it is going to be very close. Can it be Bailey? Can it be Tyres? Bailey seems to like the line on the right-hand side a lot more than Tyres. He's got to defend for his life on this final lap through turn number 2, the double apex right-hander, which leads into the S's. They're side by side. Tyres is on the right-hand side. They're going to go straight on for Ben Bailey, who had nowhere else to go. Unfortunately, they were very close side by side, and unfortunately Ben Bailey drops back to second.
It's not done yet though, because Ryan Tyres, all that means he's the first to the traffic, and that could be a problem really. I don't think it will be with 2 to go though. Ben Bailey looks out of it. Ryan Tyres, is he on for a win here?
I think he is, as he makes his way through the final corner for the final time, just passing a few people on the left. The checker flag is prepared, and Ryan Tyres, through a mire of bikes, wins this race in a dramatic style ahead of Ben Bailey, who had it until the very last lap. They went side by side. Ben Bailey was on the left-hand side, tried to go over the top. It probably would have ended in contact at the S's, where it tightened so much in the middle part, so made the sensible move, and he's still got 2 races tomorrow to enjoy, to try and take 2 extra victories to add to the tally. So it's not like it was a last that it was going to be the only time he's going to get to do it. It's 3 riders over the line now all of a sudden, between, I believe that was Darren and Simon, or Sam Clowes, Darren Anderson and Simon Clowes.
And Darren Anderson just gets it on the line, so that's how close all that was. 96, and Will Harris comes across the line as well. That's the 12th. Brandon Perrell is in 13th, and then the rest of the field just streamed through. We're still waiting on Ryan Gaines and Sean Whittaker. What a race.
But Ryan Tyres, the winner of the first Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team race of the weekend, ahead of Ben Bailey and Simon Gates. Simon Gates, great result there for him. Richard Holmes-Williams was in 4th, ahead of John Ansell and Jamie King. Ben Pascoe and Sam Clowes were 7th and 8th, ahead of Darren Anderson and Simon Clowes, which rounds out the top 10. Ian Jackson, Will Howarth, Brandon Perrell, as well as Ryan Gaines, Sean Whittaker, being further down the field. And now we move on to the first race of the weekend for the mini F1 sidecars, and you're listening to live coverage of round 2 of the 2018 FAB-Racing British Minibike Championship, live from Clay Pigeon.
This is FAB-Racing, the road to MotoGP. This is FAB-Racing. to MotoGP. This is Cool Fab Racing.
Not long left for the Saturday races here at Clay Pigeon for the second round of the 2018 Cool Fab Racing British Minibike Championships. The Mini F1 sidecars are now out on circuit and getting ready for the start. For our excitement, we have 6 laps for them, and we'll see Mick Williams and Mick Lee on the front row of the grid, with Adrian Ems and Mark Parker on row 2, Simon Ibbotson and John Hosker row 3, Paul Coulter Sr. and Russ Morgan rounding out the 8-strong grid. Russ Morgan has been seen a few times, I believe, in the Cool Fab Racing paddocks. Great to see him out for the first time this season. And as we are about to get underway for the start for the Mini F1 sidecars, the red lights are on now. We are just about to get underway for the start. Tension's on now. Revs are up. And it's a good getaway from Mick Williams from third place. Adrian Ems bullies his way up into second place. Mick Lee didn't really know where he could go as they make their way through turn 2. Tyres a little cold, a bit of understeer for the first time out of 6. But Adrian Ems, a great start, but already side by side with Mick Lee, moving up the right-hand side up towards turn 4. The right-handed hairpin takes the apex and it gets the move very cleanly indeed. Everyone did get away very cleanly. Adrian Ems attacking very hard. So is Mark Parker for the 230, side by side for Simon Ibbotson and Paul Coulters as well. So already we're getting battles up and down the field.
Did I say Mick Williams for a win? I think I forgot. No,
you might have said it.
Mick Williams off and running. That's going to be the way it is, I think, for the rest of this race, unless he makes an error. Mick Lee is in second, so we've got 2 Micks at the front. Taking the Mick a bit, aren't they, really? Third place, Adrian Ems. 4th place for Mark Parker, as they all squeeze through. I tell you what, Simon Ibbotson looks stealth-like. It's all black.
Simon Ibbotson has always had a great sort of attacking. You never really know he's there, as there's a late move for third place up the inside at turn number 4. Mark Parker going for the inside on Adrian Ems. Couldn't quite get the sidecar stopped in time, which is a very difficult thing to do with a lot of extra weight on there with a passenger as well as a rider.
Sorry, someone went off gardening at turn 4 there. Don't know, the 127, that was John Oscar running it very, very wide. I think he's actually got a problem with that sidecar itself there, but never mind on that. Mick Williams, a 45.4, that's not too shabby. A 46.2 though, that ain't too bad. For Mick Lee, that is right on the pace. He's only, well, he's less than a second a lap slower than Mick Williams. Adrian Ems 3rd and Mark Parker 4th. Simon Ibbotson is a distant 5th. The battle really is between Adrian Ems and Mark Parker, 3rd and 4th.
Well, it's fantastic racing from these home-built machines and the passion that goes into building the Mini F1 sidecars. It's always great to see just how quick they can go around the circuit, with a lot of challenging to making them as competitive and as strong as they can, because that's the last thing you want, is it to not quite sure where it is. Third place battle between Adrian Ems and Mark Parker is very close. Adrian Ems seems to not be quite so quick through the corners, but on the straight they just absolutely fly, whereas Mark Parker, watching with intent and really looking for third place, trying as hard as they can, very almost flat through turn number 1, which takes some commitment at the best of times, let alone on one of these machines. We've got a few laps left to go and looking very close, getting very close. It's going to be a very good challenge though to see if they can make a move.
Mick Williams is about to come up and take John, oh no, yeah, is it John Oscar? It can't be John Oscar, that's Russ Morgan.
Russ Morgan.
Timing screen throwing me a dummy there. Mick Williams though takes Russ Morgan. That's Russ Morgan down a lap then, as Mick Williams is now well on his way, sails through into turn 1, which is a fast old corner, makes it all work perfectly well. Mick Lee, the 44, is in second place, but the battle for third is still Adrian Ems just ahead of Mark Parker. Mark Parker is so good into that first turn. He just makes the apex look so simple. It's the 44 there of Mick Lee has to dive round Russ Morgan, and I just don't think that Mick Lee's going to be able to do anything about the leaders. Mick Williams is in a class of his own every time he goes out on circuit.
He certainly is, but it's fantastic to watch the battle between Adrian Ems and Mark Parker at the moment as they make their way through turn number 5. The left-hander going around the outside of Russ Morgan is Adrian Ems, shortly followed by Mark Parker at turn number 6. Two right-handers, you've got to position yourself right. There's not a lot of transition for the passenger to do. It's only the chicane, the S's, where it really matters. But Mark Parker really closing up on the 76, 230 in 4th, 76 in 3rd, through turn 1 and 2 into 2 even, and it is looking very close, very competitive, and Mark Parker really getting the bit between his teeth, because the last lap for Adrian Ems, a 48.6, but it's a 47.2 for Mick Lee moving away. Mark Parker doing a 48.5, so ebbing and flowing throughout the rest of the battle. 2 and a bit laps left to go, just 2 laps left to go as Mark Parker gets closer, but Mick Williams over the line to set another lap. Just 2 laps left to go. Fascinating battling as ever, and I think it's brilliant to see that the Clay Pigeon circuit really suits these mini F1 sidecars. It's always great for karting, it's always great for mini bike racing, and it's always great for these F1 sidecars, the mini F1 sidecars.
It's good because it's not too stop-start. You know, we go to some circuits, not really on this calendar, but you look at some tracks across the world. Cota's one of them. It's just full of first gear hairpins. You don't want that. You want a bit of flow, a bit of consistency. You know, you want some enjoyment, you know. So, but let us know what you think anyway about our opinions. Let us know in the comments online on Motorsport Radio. We are awaiting them, of course, as Mick Williams comes down the straight to start his final lap, as ever, in the lead.
Well, it's been a fantastic performance from Mick Williams, and enjoys some really good running out there so far. Adrian Ems a little bit further away from Mark Parker now, has responded to a couple of laps ago where the pace was increased suitably, but Mick Williams just half a lap left to go, and they really do love coming to the Cool Fab Championships, Mick Williams. I know they are very successful on that, but they just love building these kinds of machines, making sure they're running as perfectly as they can. And through this penultimate corner, through the final corner now for Mick Williams, as Kiko says, the result was never really in doubt. Passes, that is Russ Morgan once again over the line though to take the checker flag. Another fantastic victory for Mick Williams, 4 on the bounce for the 26, as Mick Lee in the 44, the bright yellow 44. You can't really miss that fantastic mini F1 sidecar as it comes over the line now. Adrian Ems has secured 3rd place and takes the checker flag, with Mark Parker not too far behind. Simon Ibbotson takes a relatively lonely 5th ahead of Paul Quarters Sr. Russ Morgan was 7th, and 8th was John Hosker, who sadly didn't get much running on that mini F1 sidecar. Hopefully we'll see him out in the next few races. But that was the mini F1 sidecar race, and 8 laps of pure enjoyment that.
It was. If your name's Mick Williams, did I say I'd have a tenner on Mick Williams earlier? I think I did. So I think, well, the rules of that bet means that everyone in the paddock now owes me £10. So yeah, I'll drinks on me tonight, when you all pay up, of course, in your own time. But no, great result again. Mick Williams and Mick Lee, Adrian Ems. Those 3 are kind of solidified at the top now. They're cemented in. You know they're going to be there week in, week out. It's be interesting to see if anyone can close down Mick Williams. It was only an 11.9 second win for him today. Oh dear.
With 2 races left to go in Saturday's races, the first set of races this weekend for the second round of the 2018 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championships. Don't forget, you can still join us live tomorrow, where we have another 2 sets of fantastic races to behold. So make sure you tune in on the Cool Fab Racing website, on the social media for Cool Fab Racing, and on motorsport.radio. We'll have live coverage tomorrow for both sets of races. Coming up next is the penultimate race of the afternoon for the Extreme 200s, and the former Pit Bike Open category. The name Extreme 200 is just cool, isn't it? It's one of those terms. Extreme makes it just more interesting.
We need to do a jingle for it, don't we? We really do. We need to get that set aside on its own.
If our wonderful producer is listening to us, please do that for the next round.
Who?
Is that
Young Forbes? We know he's listening.
So we move on to the Extreme 200s. They are on the grid, and as we get ready for their formation lap, Kiko will take you through the order.
I will in
just a moment
when we find. Thanks for that bus, Dan. You didn't tell me you was driving that right over.
I would like to take this moment just to say a big thank you to all of the organisation, the marshals and the medics for their fantastic support throughout the day and weekend here, and thank you to everyone who provides us with all the wonderful pieces of paper. It's great for us to see what's going on. Sometimes we mislay them, but it's a very thank you to giving all of us what we need at the right time.
The road to MotoGP and the official partner series to the BSB, FAB-Racing.
Come on, y'all. 1, 2, 3.
This is the 2018 FAB-Racing British Minibikes Championship, live from Clay Pigeon.
The Extreme 200 category, our penultimate race of the day, have been sent out onto their warm-up lap. Kiko Giles with the grid, and it will be...
That is not the Extreme 200, unless they've got smaller. That is the Senior Mini Moto. So
we've been sold a dummy.
Yeah, another dummy. Thank you.
Oh look, they've changed it on the screen now.
Oh look.
Anyway, moving on. That never happened, ladies and gentlemen. The Senior Mini Moto's up next, and it will
now
be...
I've got to find more paperwork.
Richard Holmes Williams will start on pole position. And as we make our way now to the start of the race, Richard Holmes Williams, well, he had a fantastic start to the season. 3 wins in 3 races at Landau. Can he do it again at Clay Pigeon? He will start on pole position, but the number 16, Ryan Grant, lines up next to him, and it will be a challenge to see just who will take a victory. It was a very shaken grid at times, and with the red lights just about to come on, can Richard Holmes Williams win 4? Or will Ryan Grant deny him on the first race here at Clay Pigeon? They get underway now. Richard Holmes Williams makes a clean getaway into the lead, but side by side for Ryan Grant, and does go at the inside. They're going to try and keep it, but Richard Holmes Williams has the momentum, uses side by side. They almost make contact going through the S's for the first time. That was very, very edgy stuff, but Richard Holmes Williams just manages to avoid chaos and keeps the lead for the first time out of 10.
Is that the warning? They all did not want to see that. Richard Holmes Williams in the lead. That's a bit of a problem. Marco Pandolfo, we shouted about him in qualifying, has kept his place. He's in 7th. Well, he's dropped 2 places actually. Ignore me. He's down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place. So Marco Pandolfo is in 6th place. Richard Holmes Williams is in 2nd. As through comes the 16 of Ryan Grant. He's made his way through and already has split the group here. He's starting to pull away just a little bit. What will we have from Richard Holmes Williams as our telly says? Do you want to shut down? No.
Well, Brandon Payne is making some very good progress side by side for 4th place, and now almost 3rd place and 4th place. It's very, very tight throughout the order of the race. So through turn number 5 for the 2nd time out of 10, Richard Holmes Williams uses a much wider line, but that's not really helped. If anything, that's cost him a couple of tenths on the exit of the left-hander.
Richard Holmes Williams seems to be able to take the speed right through the corner and right out of the corner. Look at him tucked in as he drives down the straight now, looking for any piece of momentum he can pick up through there. It's a really big gaggle this. It goes right the way back to 7th place. And that honour is Marco Pandolfo. Behind that is Matt Birkin, and he's no mug either. He's right up the sharp end earlier on in this year at Landau. But Marco Pandolfo looking on the inside of Mark Payne, the orange leathered Mark Payne not quite making it through, but under pressure, Ryan Grant, the fastest lap setter on the last lap.
Richard Holmes Williams goes for a very tight line through turn number 5. It almost works for him. They were almost on top of each other, but then all of a sudden the grip just isn't quite there with what we would describe as the Matt Jackson line. Silverstone just taking as tight a line as she possibly can. Richard Holmes Williams squats down, trying to be as aerodynamic as possible on quite a small machine, but he can't quite break away from that battle with Will Harrath, Brandon Payne and Rob Petit, who incidentally set the fastest lap on that last one of a 43.776. The top sort of 5 separated by just under 9/10 of a second, so very close already. Through turn number 4, the right-hander. And again, Ryan Grant goes quite deep, uses a lot of the curb on the left-hand side, but already Richard Holmes Williams sifts his way through the inside to retake 2nd place through all the chaos. Almost took the lead.
Contact there, that was down in 6th place. I think it was Mark Payne just clattered the back of someone. Almost went off circuit, we can't identify who he hit. But out front, Ryan Grant, this lap is going to be, I think, a slow one because they all started tripping up over each other, as I should hope over myself. It's Ryan Grant from Richard Holmes Williams, then in third Will Howarth. Now Will Howarth, he's quick as well, and in fact he's building and building. He might even be able to go down the inside, not this time.
Not quite this time. Richard Holmes Williams, a slingshot of a run out of the left-handed portion of the chicane for the latest return through there. We're nearly half distance already in this race, but Richard Holmes Williams, the 1:26, really doesn't seem to be, he's in the rhythm and he is there or thereabouts within the race, but it's sometimes he manages to get a really good exit like Friesen says right now as they go side by side from the final corner over the line. But then Ryan Grant's much superior straight line speed benefits him very significantly, but can rotate it on the apex. It was side by side between Marco Pandolfo and Matt Birking at the line. Marco Pandolfo just dropping back a little bit though, side by side once again through the S's, but they are really enjoying a battle as Matt on the last lap took a position. As we come up to the yellow flags at turn number 5, there's a rider just trying to get the bike restarted on the exit of turn number 5, so that takes that corner out of the action just for a moment. Side by side though for Will Howarth through the penultimate corner, side by side again around the left hand side, and does take second away from Richard Holmes Williams, who now has got a bit of work to do. But if they work together, they could probably go for the lead.
Probably could, but it's all about whether they want to work together, because it's not a team sport in this level. It's all about winning, and Will Howarth wants to win. He just set the fastest lap. He's half a second down on Ryan Grant. He looks like he's got a good run though up to turn 4. Will he make a move? Has a look, just doesn't quite get through. It's getting so close now, but these three have pulled away. It really is this trio out front now of Ryan Grant and Will Howarth and Richard Holmes Williams. Who is it going to be out of these three? Richard Holmes Williams, if you keep looking at him, if you're watching trackside, you'll be able to see he takes really wide sweeping lines in, and it really works for him down the straight. He's still in the hunt.
Well, Ryan Grant had a very, very poor exit on the final corner, went very, very wide on the left hand side, almost couldn't quite get it turned in, did manage it and was fine. The gap 0.3 of a second. Will Howarth though with the fastest lap just a couple of laps ago, 43.557, going to go for a very late move on the right hand side, almost gets the position, but Ryan Grant again, it's a sort of coast and brake, it's lifting just off the little bit around the outside again. An attempt from Will Howarth, who just likes that outside line. Maybe he just can't quite feel the grip on one portion of the circuit, but can feel it offline, which sometimes if you pull the pressure down a little bit can be found quite easily. But with just 2 laps left to go, Ryan Grant is in real danger of losing the lead.
He is, but I think Richard Holmes Williams is in danger of losing touch with both of them out front. Ryan Grant and Will Howarth pulling away from Richard Holmes Williams. I can't believe it, but Richard Holmes Williams may well be just struggling for pace after that dominant victory at Landau. He doesn't look like he can put himself in a position with just about 1 and a bit laps to go to win this race. I mean, he's got to get past 2 riders as well as catch them. Down to turn 5. Race leader Ryan Grant still in. Down has gone Will Howarth. Will Howarth has blown it. He drops it on the entrance to turn 5. Trail breaking in, and that may have just given a chance to Ryan Grant, although I said Richard Holmes Williams was out of it. He's right back in it as they come down the straight. Will Howarth's up and okay, I should add. The 1:26 then of Richard Holmes Williams enters this last lap in second place with half a chance. Will he be able to take on Ryan Grant? They're through the S's. There's not many places left after that. This is going down to the wire.
And Rob Petit for 4th place now, trying to go for 3rd. They're side by side up towards turn number 4. Had a bit of a look up the inside. It's a shame for Will Howarth, who just couldn't quite get the front end stop, but Ryan Grant goes quite deep through turn 5, has to defend now using the right hand side as they go up towards 2 corners left to go, 1 corner left to go. Richard Holmes Williams is going to have to get a great run. He's in the toe, he's going to look quite left, he can't quite get the overlap though, and it is going to be Ryan Grant, the winner of the first race for the senior mini motos this weekend, ahead of Richard Holmes Williams, with Brandon Payne taking the final spot on the podium. Rob Petit gave a fantastic go ahead of Matt Birkin and Mark Payne. Marco Pandolfo has taken 7th place ahead of Paul Nichols. Will Howarth, what a shame for the 96, who could have taken the win. Unfortunately, the front end just breaking away ahead of Simon Huntingford, Nick Bennett, Chris Yeomans and Ross Michael. 13 entries, unlucky for some, but a fantastic race here at Clay Pigeon.
Fantastic finish there. I honestly thought Richard Holmes was going to go for something a bit drastic down into that last corner. He didn't quite make it work. He has 2 more races to make it work. It's the first time he has been defeated in this class all year. Will it continue to go on like that? Will Ryan Grant stop Richard Holmes Williams' stranglehold on this series now? Is that the turning point at Clay Pigeon? 10 laps done. What a race.
And with just 1 lap and 1 race left for the Extreme 200s, and they will be the Extreme 200s. We've checked this time, I promise you, touch wood. But a great race there from the Senior Mini Motos. Did you watch? Were you listening? Did you think it was a fantastic race like we did? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you join us tomorrow live for 2 sets of fantastic racing on the Cool Fab Facebook pages, on all the social media pages as well as on the Cool Fab website and the Motorsport Radio website as well, motorsport.radio. So just 1 race left to go, another one with Richard Holmes Williams featuring and should be on pole position.
Should be. He's 1.2 seconds clear, is he, of Max Cook? I think that is, on alongside him. So this is a really competitive class, the Extreme 200s that are now come out. The 212 though of Gareth Roberts, does what absolutely everyone else does and rolls right up to the front of the grid. And of course you're starting from what on the grid is really the second row, but that is our first row here at Cool Fab. So I'll take you through the grid then, just so you know who's who. Max Cook was on pole, was he? I can't see him. Where is he? Is Max Cook late to the grid?
They're still coming through. To be fair, some of them are still coming through the paddock, so we are waiting just a couple of people.
The Craig Walker machine just moving forward to allow the number 7, and that is Ian Jackson in. We have no pole sitter, or is he? Oh, he's starting from the back. Max Cook throws us again, so that's about 4 races on the bounce. I've been thrown a dummy by some form, but never mind. Max Cook should have started on pole. Well, he ain't. He's opted to go from the back of the grid. So the front row all to himself. 2-1-2 starts second. Gareth Roberts. In the 3rd place, Will Howarth. Let's hope that he actually has a better run in this time and keeps it upright on 2 wheels and doesn't throw it into the gardening. 4th is Alex Vella. We've got no rider in 5th. It should be Louis Rendell, but he hasn't come through. 147. That's Josh Ingram. Elliot Dufton is 7th with Brandon Payne 8th. 9th place, Brandon Perrell. Expect him to come through like he always does. 10th place is Craig Walker. 11th is Jamie King, Ian Jackson, Callum Beach, Ben Pascoe, Ryan Gaines and Josh Dart. If you're wondering why you've heard some other names that you may have heard of already today, it's because some riders race in more than one category, and the likes of Jamie King and Callum Beach highlighting down there in 11th and 13th just how talented this field is. This is a really action-packed stuff, and we're going to see if Max Cook in the back of the grid. Do you reckon Dan, do you reckon he's going to catch Gareth Roberts? I'm not so sure.
Well, we will wait and see, I suppose. There's a lot of different variables in this kind of racing. A 12-lap encounter to bookend the day for us here. But as everyone starts to roll up to the start of the grid, and once again, it unfortunately looks like Gareth Roberts has gone slightly too far forward. So
again,
a few people being caught out by that, and it is very understandable.
It is.
But a decision was made by race control.
I want to know, Dan, just before they get underway, there's double yellow lines there, so how can they park on the grid before the start of the race?
Well, yeah, we'll go into that on a different moment, but we are about to get underway.
Down the back of the grid, we've got the 77 doing the markers. That's Callum Beach going the wrong way up the track to take his position on the grid. We're ready for a start.
As you'd say, Kiko, it's all happening here, but we are about to get ready for the first race of the Extreme 200s, the final race of Saturday. The red lights are on now, and Gareth Roberts looking up with the tinted visor, gets underway. A decent start, a bit of a jump though, and it's a great start from Alex Vella, I believe, who leaps well and truly into first place into turn number 2 for the first time out of 12 through the S's, leaning one way then the other, but everyone almost a bit of understeer from a few people, almost coming to blows into the chicane for the first time. However, turn 4 a little bit more secure, and Alex Vella a great start after Gareth Roberts an initially great getaway and has recovered from it subsequently, but just a bit of a leap too much, a bit of a wheelie through left, through 2 right-handers for the first time out of 12, and Gareth Roberts is determined to get the lead back as they cross the line for the first time.
Alex Vella leads, Gareth Roberts right in behind him. Who's it going to be? The 2-1-2 chasing the 6-2-1. So we're going to have fun with them numbers when we start getting on in this race. But at the moment, Roberts chases Vella. That's second and third. Oh, up into third place goes Will Howard, pushes Josh Ingram aside. So the 147 of Josh Ingram gets demoted into fourth place. Brandon Payne is in fifth place. Max Cook, I think, is giving them all half a lap. He's at the back of the grid here and not making progress, but I wouldn't take that too seriously. Gareth Roberts all over, climbing all over the back of Alex Vella. If he gets any closer, you'll be able to smell his aftershave. Through top bend they come, down the straight, and now looking under his shoulder goes Alex Vella, who looks under the wrong one because Gareth Roberts alongside him on the other side, down into turn 2. No moves made.
Well, Max Cook, the British Talent Cup rider, suddenly knows how to ride motorcycles very, very efficiently and effectively, so maybe he's just going out there for a bit of fun and then unleashes an attack all of a sudden. Into turn 4 then for the third time now, and Gareth Roberts, the 2-1-2, fastest lap on the last lap, looking around the right hand side, the outside line at turn 5, trying to take as tight a line through 6 and 7 the right handers. It can pay off if you go a bit wider to try and get a bit more traction, but Gareth Roberts looking extremely capable. The last lap of 40.7, over the line they go now, and it is a 40.8 and a 40.8 for Vella and Roberts. Brandon Payne down in 5th place with the new fastest lap with a 40.7, so very competitive and close so far. But it is Alex Vella who runs a little wide through the chicane, almost gets it stopped. Gareth Roberts having a bit of a look, but it's gone very, very deep, and Roberts makes the best of a mistake from Alex Vella, who just couldn't quite get it stopped and had a bit of understeer.
Alex Vella was backing that one in there. He was trying to park it, couldn't quite get it down to an apex. That's given Gareth Roberts an inch. He took a mile, and down into top bend they go now. Gareth Roberts leads. Will Alex Vella be able to fight back? Will Howarth is in third place and closing all the time. 4th and 5th. Josh Ingram ahead of Brandon Payne. Will Howarth the fastest lap by about half a second. So this race, just because Gareth Roberts has gone into the lead, is not quite done with yet. Who's it going to be?
It's going to be very, very close as they go through turn number 4, the right-handed hairpin called Hands. The next couple of corners are up to Horseshoe, the left-handed hairpin as well, for reasons we don't particularly need to explain.
Maybe because
why.
It's a horseshoe.
It looks shaped like a horseshoe, but through the next set of corners, and Alex Vella dropped behind Roberts and dropping back. Will Howarth really in the clutches now, pulling to the right-hand side, looking one way, looking the other. Couldn't quite make it through turns 1 and 2. A bit of a target, but not quite close enough to make a move, but he is certainly close enough to hound him as much as he can through the S's, over the right, over the left, throwing the bike from one direction to another. And a little bit further behind, Brandon Payne is a bit of a cork in a bottle, as up the inside goes Josh Ingram at turn number 4. Couldn't quite get it stopped. And this is the difficulty now, where you can catch up and you can try and make a move, but Clay Pigeon, you have to be a bit brave to make an overtake, especially through the final 2 right-handers that Vella and Howarth are going through, 2nd and 3rd. The gap was 0.7 on the last lap between Roberts and Vella. It's now going to be over 2nd, I reckon. In fact, 1.066. What I guess that was for Vella in 2nd, though. Probably not enjoying that number quite so much.
Will Howarth half a second quicker again. Just looked at the bottom of the timing screens. Max Cook isn't in this race. The 6.85 at the back of this field is Blake Ansell, who of course was a regular last year. He's about to be lapped as they come through the horseshoe. Alex Vella's got company here. Will Howarth is really trying to start to push through. I think Gareth Roberts may well have just broken clear. I do think now, unless Will Howarth can make a move before half race distance, that we're going to see Gareth Roberts take a victory. I think Max Cook has just gone out just to add even more confusion to the situation, but never mind. Gareth Roberts, Alex Vella, Will Howarth. Again, a fastest lap from Will Howarth. So he's really pushing on here.
It's very competitive indeed, and I think that being behind Alex Vella for quite so long, he's not going to be enjoying it for that much longer. As lovely the white and red livery is, the all-black superbike bodied, effectively, bike is really not going to be wanting to be in the position they are in for much longer. 4th place and 5th place, the battle between Ingram and Dufton for 5th and 6th through the final couple of corners as well, looking incredibly close. But side by side for 2nd place.
Oh, crasher at the last corner though, is that? Look to me.
We don't know. We'll find out in just a few moments. But
Peril, because the yellow leathers kind of give it away. Jamie King has gone up the positions. Brandon Peril is dropping down our timing screen.
But a shame there for that rider. But Roberts, still in the lead of the race, has managed to get past Max Cook, which in itself is a bit of a feat, I'm told. But Vella and Howarth still going to go side by side through turn number 5, and Howarth using the right-hand lines as best as he can, trying to get the speed on, but just couldn't quite get the speed on. The bike at the final corner trying to be restarted, but the yellow flag's there temporarily whilst that's going on. But with 5 laps left to go, people still streaming through underway, and it is the 1:46 of Brandon Peril who does go through, thumps the bike. He's not particularly happy, you can imagine, but through the S's goes the battle for the overall lead as well as a few other positions. But Gareth Roberts a secure win at the moment, 2.4 seconds to the good.
Will Howarth just got mired a bit in traffic there. He's lost a bit of contact with Alex Vella. Still 5 laps to go. Plenty of time to try and make some ground up. But I just feel that maybe now we'll see the likes of Alex Vella just try and secure that 2nd place. Will Howarth just not quite there yet.
But Brandon Payne is starting to close in on that battle as well, with 0.3 of a second quicker on the last lap as opposed to Will Howarth. And Ben Pascoe, I think, has dropped back due to a bike issue, trying to actually walk it back into the paddock. So a shame there. Side by side for Gareth Roberts. He's having a bit of fun just trying to stream through the other riders within this race. But Alex Vella is really soaking up pressure now, not from 1 but from 2. Side by side, as I think someone else has gone down at turn number 5.
Horseshoe.
And we'll wait to see until we we'll get back to you with identifying that bike. But it was side by side for Vella and Howarth, with Brandon Payne also getting involved in the battle as well. And it's looking incredibly competitive throughout the field. Through the S's they go once again. There is only 3 laps left to go, and Alex Vella really is suffering a little bit from the pressure.
Elliot Dufton was the crash. The 441 has gone down at turn 5. That's what we was just mentioning a moment ago. Alex Vella has got Will Howarth right on him now. We got traffic as well. Who? In fact, I don't know.
No, that's Brandon Payne. It's side by side, 3-way battle there. My goodness me, that was incredibly close. They went 3 abreast going into the 2nd final corner. The right-hander, that really does take some guts, but somehow in all of the chaos, side by side, Brandon Peril forces his way up the inside on the left-hand side through past Will Howarth, who is not going to be happy with that at all. And Alex Vella is going to be the next one on the list, sifting their way now over 2 different ways through the S's. This is going to be another side-by-side into turn number 4. My goodness me, Brandon Peril has got the bit between his teeth, and he does not want 3rd, he wants 2nd.
Yeah, they can't pass, so at turn 5, so there goes one opportunity. Oh, but he has, so will there be? Is that more the approach though? I want to question. I think that's more the approach into turn 5. That may well be. It was Brandon Payne getting Alex Vella on the exit, so maybe that will not matter. Gareth Roberts is off and running with this. There is no way he's going to be caught unless he makes a mistake. Brandon Payne 2nd, Alex Vella 3rd. Oh, is he? Oh, Will Howarth had a huge lunge there, not making it work. It's the last lap and just a few more corners to go.
And whilst Josh Ingram now gets in there as a 4-way scrap for 2nd place, only a handful of corners left to go. What is not in doubt though is the leader of this race. Gareth Roberts has pretty much dominated this race, the final race of the day here on Saturday, and he's going to make his way over the line now. The 2-1-2 takes an emphatic victory, waves to the fans standing by the end, but we don't know who's going to be 2nd, who's going to be 3rd. It's almost going to be Alex Vella, who does retain 3rd place. Brandon Payne was and did come over the line in 2nd. Alex Vella 3rd, just ahead of Will Howarth. It's 0.177 over the line. Josh Ingram taking 5th place, 6th for Craig Walker as they all stream their way now over. Jamie King, the 76 in 7th. Callum Beach, 77 in 8th, ahead of Ryan Gaines and Brandon Peril. Blake Ansell, Ian Jackson, Elliot Dufton, Ben Pascoe, Max Cook in 15th with the fastest lap in that, a 39.441, the only person to go into the 39s, ahead of Richard Holmes, Williams, Louis Randell and Josh Darter. And what a way to end the day's racing. A a great race in the Extreme 200s.
Gareth Roberts takes the win, Brandon Payne second, and in third place it's Alex Vella. What a race that was in the closing stages. Lots of drama, desperation, and thankfully it's not so many thrills and spills. But that's the racing done for today. That is it all done. We'll be back tomorrow for all of the races live and exclusive on Motorsport Radio.
And it is a great thing that we will be bringing you live and exclusive coverage of the races unamended now. We've managed to get through absolutely everything perfectly, so tomorrow's schedule will be as it is on the timetable for tomorrow. So we'll bring you more information on that when we have it tomorrow. And the only change is that the riders' briefing will be at 9 AM. So for everyone keenly listening here at the circuit, or if you're currently listening in your motorhome or whatnot, then the riders' briefing will be at 9 AM. But we will be with you again live for 2 sets of races tomorrow here from Clay Pigeon, the second round of the 2018 FAB-Racing British Minibikes Championship, the official partner series to the BSB. And on the road to MotoGP, these guys and girls here have really demonstrated the racecraft. A big thank you to all of the marshals and the medics and the Keys family in the organisation for making sure the day, which hasn't always run smoothly, have got through it as best they could and have brilliantly managed as ever. So thank you to everyone for your comments, for tuning in and all of your support. We will see you again tomorrow for 2 sets of races. So until then, it's goodbye from me.
The road to MotoGP. This is FAB-Racing. The road to MotoGP. This is FAB-Racing from Clay Pigeon Raceway.